And as usual, I'm Dr. Kabata and I talk about entrepreneurship issues and also business issues. Today, I want to introduce a small book that I wrote some time ago. And what this book does is that it talks about what I've been talking about. If you look at that book, it's that small book here. It's called the Startup Toolkit. And if you go down there, you'll find that I'm just talking about how you create, deliver, and capture value. Remember, I told you that those are the three mantras when it comes to creating any businesses in this world. And therefore, I thought about it and I realized that people are given so many stories about how they can be able to, how to start a business. And in most cases, they are told that if you want to start a business, you have to start with a business plan. And I thought that if I can write this 15 pages book, maybe it can help one or two people to understand how simple it is to change or to change your idea or to change your idea into a business. So the Kabook is very easy. The Kabook talks about the first part of the Kabook talks about the generation of business ideas. Where do you get business ideas from? You get business ideas from your skills, your hobbies, government policies, the internet. You can get business ideas from the magazines. You can get business ideas from your friends. So many places that you can get business ideas. Now the question is, how do you change those business ideas into something that is viable? And that is why the second part of the book talks about the how to create value using your business idea. And actually what I do in that is that I try to explain this thing here. Try to explain this thing here to see whether it can be able to help us to create something that can help us. So I explain the value proposition. A value proposition is just a model that shows you the customers and also the product that you have. So here, as you can see, you have the customer, the job that the customer wants to be done for you for them, the gains that they are looking for, and also the pains that they are going through, and the kind of the product that you need to come up with. There must be a gain creator and also a pain reliever to the customer. Let me give you an example of a product here in Kenya. Look at M-Pesa. Suppose you put M-Pesa here, the customer's job. What job did the customers want M-Pesa to do to them? That is the question. Then what was the gain for the customer on the side of the customer? And what was the pains that the customers were going through? Now, if you dissect M-Pesa very well, one of the things that you'll come to realize when it comes to the customer job, you will understand that the customer wanted his money to be transferred conveniently and as fast as possible. So the gain that he was going to get is quick transfer of money from one point to another. And the pain that he was going to be to relieve was the old system of transferring money from one point to another, where you had to go to the bank, queue the whole day. The bank transfers money at their own leisure and pleasure. So you can see the challenges that were there, and those were the pains that the customers were going through. Imagine lining up the whole day or queuing the whole day just because you want to transfer 100 shillings or 1,000 shillings to your mother in the rural area who is also sick. So you can see the pain the customer had. So the customer job was to help him to transfer that money as quickly as possible. So the product that was supposed to come in here must be a gain creator, help the customers to transfer money as quickly as possible and cheaply. And secondly, it must be a pain reliever. This pain that the customers have of queuing every day, the whole day in the bank, must be relieved. And therefore, when you are trying to do what we call when you have an idea, it is important for you to bring it into the value proposition canvas or this model that you see there. Ask yourself a simple question. What customer job am I going to solve, or customer's problem am I going to solve with my skill? Take an example. Give another example of Uber. Uber, if you put the customer's problems here, or the jobs the customers wanted to be solved, you'll see that the customer had a challenge of getting a taxi as quickly as possible, moving from one point to another easily. And the pain the customers had is waiting for a taxi the whole day. And the gain that he wanted was a cheap system of movement using taxis, and not only cheap but also convenient. So the product that these guys were supposed to develop was supposed to relieve this pain from the customer and also create these gains that the customer was looking for. So the question is, what gains are the customers getting from your product, and what pains are you relieving from the for the customer? Because the customer must gain, the customer must also, you must also relieve the pain, the customer pain, by improving his position better than it was. So that value proposition is very important, and I've explained it very well in that book. I'll give you an example of a hawker. Just put a hawker here, customer's job or problems that are solved by the customers. You'll agree with me that when it comes to the hawkers here, the gain the customer is going to get is getting the goods and services that he wants at a nearest place, or nearer for him. The pain that you deliver, you relieve from the customer is very easy. Customer moving to Marikiti to go and buy nyanyas and tomatoes, that is the pain, the energy that he or she is going to waste, the time that he or she is going to waste, that is all painful for the customer. And therefore, a hawker is a gain creator when it comes to those products coming, being near to the customer, and also relieves that the customer's pain of moving from wherever he is to Marikiti. He saves the customer's energy, he saves the customer's time, and that is relieving the customer's pain. So any idea that you have must be looked into it, or it must fit well here, so that the product that you are going to have on this side must be a problem solver to these challenges that the customer is going through. Remember, this side we have the customer's problems, we have the gains the customers is looking for, and also the pains that the customers are going through. Now, on this side of the product, we have the product as a gain creator and the product as a pain reliever. So what I have done is that I have used that book to try and help people understand how you can be able to create value using your skills, using your passion, using your using your passion, using your experience. All these things are things that can be able to add value to you. Now, on the last part of the book, I bring in this thing here called the canvas. And what I do with the canvas, now I start asking myself, because you have created value for the customer, how is the customer going to get that value? And how are you going to make money from the customer? So what I have done in that book is that I have tried to show the three creation of the value, delivery of the value, and the capture of the value within in that book, so that when you have an experience, when you have a skill, when you have a product, the question that you ask yourself is, how is it creating value for the customer? And when you ask yourself how it is creating value for the customer, the question that should come into your mind is, what problem is it solving to the customer? What is the customer gaining from your product? What pain are you relieving for the customer? So that is the first part of the value creation. For delivery of the value is, how is the customer going to get your value? You have the value that you have created. How are they going to get the value? That is a very important question, because if you do not know how the customer is going to get the value, or you do not have a model of how the customers are going to get the value, then the customers are not going to interact or to get your product. And if they do not get your product, then you are not going to capture value or to make money. So those three things must come in tandem, especially when it comes to doing what we call to starting a business. I'll give you an example. Take an example of a car wash. How do you create a value for the customers using a car wash? One, you can create value by maybe bringing it nearer to the people, especially in the estate. How do you deliver the value for the customer? You deliver the value for the customer by having a place where they can bring their cars to be washed. And you capture the value by charging them something when you do that for them. So those three things are well explained in this book. And what I usually like when I'm dealing with this book, or when I'm talking about this book, or when we are reviewing this book, is for somebody to bring their idea, and then we try to put it through the three parts of the book: the value creation part, and also the value delivery part, and also the value capture part, so that we know whether this person can be able to start that idea, and the idea starts the test of time, or the idea is viable. Because for you to be able to test the viability of the idea, those three things must be in tandem: value creation, value delivery, and value capture, because we do not want to be in business for the sake of it. Let me give you an example. I like giving examples of things that are happening around us. Let me go back to my model there. Take an example of the media houses. When a media house invites me to talk about anything, so they are creating value. They are inviting me so that I can create value for their customers by giving them that information. The delivery system is that program that I am invited in. The value capture for the media is the advertisement that they are going to get during that episode. So you can see those three things must be in tandem so that you can be able to talk about making money or being in business. Create value for the customer, deliver that value to the customer, and also capture the value in form of revenue. Make money from the customer. And you cannot make money from the customer if you have not created value for the customer. Remember, I've said you can create value using your experience, you can create value using your hobby, you can create value using your skill. The skill that you have can help you to create value for the customer. And if you create that value for the customer, then the question is, how do you deliver it? Let me tell you people, what has happened with COVID is that it has disrupted this model that I'm talking about here. And that is why you see most organizations have problems, because this model is already disrupted by COVID-19. Either the organization cannot be able to create value the way they were doing it because the employees are supposed to be at home. Either the company cannot be able to deliver value. They are able to create value, but they cannot be able to deliver value because there is lockdown, there is curfew, and all these things. And because those two areas are affected, then they cannot be able to capture value. They cannot be able to make money from their product, basically because the value creation and value delivery system are disrupted by COVID-19. So it is important for us to be able to understand that so that we can be able to get into the business. So here I have a small business model for an institution. I don't know which institution it is, and I think it is not. I'll be able to see it, but it is one of the big institutions in some of these developed nations. You see, what they do is that they always create business models for their business because they know, they understand that if you want to start a business, you create value. You develop a business model. How are you going to create value for the customer? How are you going to deliver that value to the customer? And how are you going to make money from that value? Those are the three things that they know. And because they know them, it is very easy for them to move their startups from just an idea to big businesses. Look at Facebook. Facebook creates value very easily to us people by making it possible for us to communicate as easily as possible. That is value creation. Eh? Making it possible for us to advertise our goods and services as cheaply as possible. That is value creation. How do they deliver the value to us? Through an application called Facebook. or our website called Facebook. How do they capture the value? Very easily, by charging advertisement. By charging advertisement, that is how they 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 capture value. So those three things are very important, and I do believe that as we continue with our lives, what is going to happen is that we are going to be looking at them so that we can help as many people as possible to understand how to start businesses easily and also sustainable businesses. So thank you very much for listening, and have a nice evening, and God bless you. We meet tomorrow or any day next week as we explore further. And if you have an idea that you think that we can be able to talk about it here, I have no problem. We can be able to discuss it. We see whether how you can be able to create value for the customer using the idea, how you deliver the value to the customers using your idea, and also how you can be able to capture value or make money from that idea. So thank you very much. Have a nice evening, and God bless you.